Welcome to the Cool Fireman Podcast, a virtual firehouse kitchen table with Matt, Adam, Brian, Doug, and Freddie, where they discuss everything that matters in today's fire service. Now let's get to the show.
What are you looking at? Let's go.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cool Fireman Podcast. We are happy today to have joining us Miss Tonya Herbert. She is the president, CEO, founder, chief marketing officer. She's everything of Thin Red Line Decon and Florida PPE Services. Thin Red Line Decon, I feel very fortunate, was started kind of right around the time that I met Tonya, and it branched off of kind of a bunch of different projects that she had going on, and it's really kind of exploded, right? So let's start off, I guess, with tell us just a little bit about yourself, Tonya, and actually, I take it back.
Okay.
Hold on, we've got other things I got to do first. I'm getting way ahead of myself. Housekeeping. Cool Fireman Podcast. It's brought to you by our buddy. He's actually like right here. Unky Seasoning, unkyseasoning.com. Check them out. The one that we'll feature today is the garlic and herb. I love the garlic and herb. That's my boy. I use that all the time. Check them out. And then check out the Burn Box. Check out the Burn Box and the FDC Collectors Club. I do know that Tonya, you've been featured in the Burn Box, haven't you? Yes. So Tonya is tight with Tom. So check them out. Those are the sponsors. They help us keep the podcast running, and they helped us get this brand new software that we're using now that has great audio and video here on Riverside. So thank you to those sponsors who took a giant leap of faith to try and support this crazy shit show that we run here. So,
hey, can I interject
before we do the moment of silence? Sure,
Matt.
Okay.
No,
real quick, just as a tribute to anybody that we may have lost in the last week since we spoke with you last, we'll do a quick moment of silence to remember anybody that we may have lost. Thank you very much. Well said.
Well said.
All right. Housekeeping's done. Douglas, you're up.
Matt, hold your can up to the screen, to the camera.
Which can?
The one you're drinking. How do you pronounce that, Tonya?
LaCroix?
LaCroix.
There's no, it's LaCroix.
So I took French in high school, so I'm going to go with the French
I think she just flexed on us.
Potato.
She absolutely just shut me down.
Tomato.
I'll come to Doug's defense.
Well, I tell you, I failed 2 years of Spanish at Russell Junior High School in Lawrenceville, Virginia, in junior high school. So,
well, it's
bonjour.
It's named after a town in America, and we mispronounce stuff wrong all the time. So it would not be the appropriate.
Well, I'm not going to use your damn metric system. So kiss my ass.
Okay,
I don't
so we're
live
going
close
with
to
LaCroix
France, but I
then.
do live basically
from
in
France.
Mexico. So
I mean, you're only how many kilometers away?
So how do you pronounce it? Tell me again, Tonya.
LaCroix?
LaCroix.
it's probably. I think that she's actually right. I mean, everybody says LaCroix, but I think it is LaCroix.
I'd go with Croix more than what you said. The crux. It's like a damn Harry Potter Horcrux.
All right, so now that we've settled all of that,
Sorry, Harry Potter guy here. I like Harry Potter.
Tonya, tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into Florida PPE and Thin Red Line Decon. Tell us kind of what got you into wanting to help out firefighters.
So I do not have a fire service background. I do not have any family members in the fire service, but my stepdad was a police officer and a Orange County Sheriff's deputy. And my first husband was Air Force Special Operations. So I've been in the first responder community almost all my life. And I was working for an architectural firm that specializes in designing fire stations. The company has designed stations literally from Washington State to Maine to Texas and everywhere in between.
That's cool.
And in 2014, we had a client ask us to design a station to control contaminants from being brought back into the living quarters. And at that time, nobody was really doing the hot, warm, cold zone or the red, yellow, green zone.
That was 2014, you said?
2014, yeah.
You guys are way ahead of the curve, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I kind of laugh about it because it was Gainesville Fire Department Chief Joanna Rice. She was the assistant chief at the time, and it was for their new headquarters and station. Chief Rice is now the Florida State Fire Marshal. So she's watched the evolution of my companies and my interests. So that's the project that really kicked it off as far as identifying a cancer epidemic. And I got put in charge of researching why Gainesville wanted to do that, what the issue was, and came across, a lot of research about firefighter cancer. It was right when they were first starting to talk about it. And it honestly just bugged the crap out of me that firefighters were willing to rescue, risk their lives to save someone they didn't know, and then they were going to turn around and die of cancer. And I just found that to be completely unacceptable. So, in all of the research that I was doing to help us develop design strategies, I came across the Firefighter Cancer Support Network had just released their Taking Action in the Fire Service, Taking Action Against Cancer in the Fire Service white paper. And in the back of it was a list of 13 things that you could do to mitigate your risk. And I think number 3 or 4 on the list was to use wet naps or baby wipes. And I thought, well, that is so easy. That's low-hanging fruit. So I started distributing the white paper to all of the fire chiefs that I was working with across the country and asking them, are you aware of the cancer epidemic? What are you guys doing about it? And Chief Robert Fite, who had just become chief of the Grand Prairie Fire Department in Texas, he had 2 firefighters die from cancer right after he took over the chief's position in that department. So he was very interested in figuring out what he could do to stop the epidemic. And I gave him the white paper and I said, okay, are you guys using baby wipes? And he said, well, we've tried baby wipes and they shred, they, ball up on 5 o'clock shadow, they rip. And he said, frankly, my guys don't want to smell like a baby's ass when they're done. So,
yes.
I'm good with it.
So anyway, I just started looking for something on the market for him, no inclination at all that I would ever develop a product. Found a couple things, shipped it to his department and said, try this, see what you guys think. And they didn't like any of the things that I was finding. And he kept bugging me, let's make a wipe. And I said, I know nothing about making wipes. I have a business degree. I work for an architectural firm. And he literally bugged me for about 18 months. And I happened to have a conversation with my brother's father-in-law. Dr. Prince is an epidemiologist. He started several biomedical firms. And I just happened to mention to him, what I was working on. And he said, oh, I know what formula you need to use. I can help you make a wipe. I said, great, okay. So in January 2016, 9 years ago, we launched Responder Wipes. And he helped us develop a formula. We beta tested a lot on the Grand Prairie Fire Department and ended up starting with a 12 by 24 inch wipe to begin with, which is basically the size of a hand towel. We found that if we gave the guys a larger wipe, they were more likely to use it and wipe everything down than if we gave them 2 or 3 individual wipes that they had to open and use. So that was our first product. We launched Responder Wipes in January.
She's got us nailed. She's got us pegged.
It's crazy. I was just going to say the same thing. I mean, we're all sitting here going, oh my God, you're right.
Yeah.
Like bigger, I like that.
You just got to make sure you choose the order of wiping appropriately.
Yes. Well, how you wipe, what you wipe. But, it made it super thick, not like a baby wipe, worked on the formula so that it was designed to encapsulate the soot as it was pulled off the skin and trap it in the fabric. So we were partners until summer of 2017. And he said, finally, I can't keep doing this. Managing 250 middle school girls is about all I can handle. So I ended up buying him out of the company, and we still are in contact, and he'll, help me come up with new ideas about steps off. So Responder Wipe started in 2016, and a couple of years later, we ended up introducing a smaller wipe that was comparable to others on the market, strictly because departments had trouble comparing apples to oranges. And they were saying, well, I can buy this one. How much would it be? And it was like, so we ended up making a medium-sized one too. So we have both of those products. But one of the things that Dr. Prince, the epidemiologist that helped me, had suggested was using activated charcoal in the solution because of its adsorbative properties. Well, putting a black solution on a wipe and telling you guys to wipe off black soot psychologically didn't go very well. So we had pivoted the formula, went with something else, but I knew that there was a place for activated charcoal in the cleaning process. So I ended up developing a shampoo body wash. Responder Wash is our shampoo body wash that has activated charcoal in it. So works fabulously, does a great job removing the smoke smell from your hair and your skin. And now my next project is to figure out how to take that smoke scent and capture it in a cologne that is not carcinogenic.
I tell you what.
Because I'm sure I would have a bestseller on my hands.
Be careful with the Responder Wash. Because if you're on the rescue and you jump into the shower and you are not second due and you lather up with it is not immediately rinsed off. It takes a second to rinse that.
And
I tell you what, when those tones go off and you are lathered up, the amount of panic that runs through your head of, I can't get it off. I'm guessing. I've never had that.
Do not use it with a white washcloth either. But it does. Tell me the truth. It works.
It absolutely does. And where I notice it the most is like head and pits. Like I feel like if you just use a regular soap or whatever, you get a good amount of the smell away. But the Responder Wash, 1,000%. Emily, my wife, when I worked at my other spot, when I didn't have any of your products, we just didn't have them. We didn't have a really good cancer initiative. I would come home 12 hours after we ran a call, after showering, after we had a fire, and come home. She's like, oh, you had a fire last night. Now I don't run a lot of fires at my new department, but it's completely different. She never know. We had a fire last night. She's like, you did? Did you even go inside? Yes, I went inside.
Sometimes 5 or 6 days later, when I'm washing my hair, I can still smell it.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it came about Orlando Fire Department is one of my wife's customers, and one of their district chiefs, Lori McDonald, works the hoarder can at the Orlando Fire Conference. And so she's in there for 3 days straight, just burning. And she said it would take her a week or more of using clarifying shampoo to get the smell out of her hair. And it was miserable. So she's the one that we kind of beta tested the Responder Wash on. Originally the formula was too weak, then it was too strong, and then we found like Baby Bear, the happy, perfect place. So she was a big help to us. So it was just all about finding things that we could really make sure you guys could clean up well. And in that process, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the protocol out of Sweden called the Skellefteå model. Sweden is light years ahead of the United States on decontamination protocol. They treat soot like it's a bloodborne pathogen. They never touch it. They bag everything on scene, including hose, tools, equipment, gear, everything. They change their clothes completely on scene, and they have 3 sets of gear. So everything is always clean.
Damn.
So I saw that model. I got to meet with the guys that developed Healthy Firefighters is what they call the protocol. I got to meet them and learn about their protocol. And I really wanted to help bring it to the United States. So I've worked with them since 2018 to help educate U.S. fire departments about the protocol, how you can implement it in the U.S. But from that, they also developed bags because they bag everything. They developed a series of bags called the DOT system, and it is to bag everything. The latest iterations of the bags that they have out are gas tight. So you can put anything in them, zip them up, and nothing is going to off-gas from them. They've tested them. And then the great thing is the bags can go in a washer. Oh,
that's pretty slick. It's not one use.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. And they have a handy-dandy little handle that you can flip it back and forth from red to green so you know if the contents are clean or dirty.
Clean or dirty. Huh.
So, I started with responder wipes, but then I kept finding all these other products that I felt fit in with what I was trying to do. So between responder wipes, that was what the company was originally called, was responder wipes. Then I developed responder wash. Then I found the bags. Then I got connected with Jason Miller, who was a Phoenix firefighter that developed the Storm Stick.
Have you guys seen the Storm Stick? Dude, this thing is slick. I want to get a couple of them for my department. This thing is incredible.
Yeah.
Is it like a gross decon thing?
It is.
So on the end of
basically, Jason developed it because his department, he was a lieutenant on the engine, and they were very reluctant to use the buckets. There was always some sort of, speed bump as to why they didn't want to use it. So he decided to make it as simple as possible. It is a wand device that there's a bracket that mounts to the grab bar. The wand sits in the bracket. It has a quick connect that connects to a discharge on the pump panel. And in the quick connect is a proportioner with basically freeze-dried detergent in it. So it does not matter what the pump is running at. It downgates to 60 to 90 PSI. What comes out is a light sudsy wash. It's an on-off lever, so one person can decontaminate themselves. It sets up in about 15 seconds, and you can do it all by yourself. So it is amazing. So I just kept finding all of these other really cool products, and it was hard to sell them under the name Responder Wipes. So in August of 2022, I pivoted and changed the name to Thin Red Line Decon, so that I could offer and help people better understand, all of the different things that were out there. So that was my first baby. As I mentioned, Orlando Fire Department, Lauren McDonald was one of my customers. And about the same time we were working on the body wash, she said, "Hey, do you know anybody that would open a gear cleaning business here in Orlando? Because we're tired of shipping our gear over to Tampa." And I thought, By this time, I had left the architectural firm. I had spent a year working with the National Association of State Fire Marshals to really get ingrained in the fire service. I thought, I think I could do this. And so August of 2020, I started Florida PPE Services, and we are what's called a verified independent service provider, an ISP. So we do all gear maintenance. We clean, inspect, repair, turn out gear, and then we can do alterations and nameplates and stuff like that. But it's been just amazing for me because I feel like between my experience with the fire stations, my experience with on-scene decon, and now with gear cleaning, I have a very wide breadth of knowledge on decontamination.
Do you guys have those cool trucks that go around?
The cool what?
I've seen some companies that have these cool trucks. That go around
the mobile extraction units.
Yeah.
We do not. A couple of reasons I don't do that. First of all, it is fabulous that you can go on scene and clean gear, but the problem is 90% of the gear that we bring in for inspection needs repairs.
Yeah.
And the mobile extraction units generally don't have the repair equipment and supplies that you need. So then you have to turn around and send the gear in anyway.
Yeah, that was my next question. So do departments send it to you? They ship it to you?
Well, both. So we are based in Orlando. I have customers all over the state of Florida, but I actually do have customers that will also ship us gear.
Do you live in Orlando?
Pardon?
Do you live in Orlando?
I do. Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming down in a couple weeks.
You said Harry Potter, and I was like,
okay. I go to Disney 3 or 4 times a year. Like I'll be down there in March. So
they're opening Epic here.
Yes, absolutely.
My son-in-law.
We're gonna hook up and have a drink.
My son-in-law's been designing part of Epic.
Okay, we'll get to that.
The podcast has gone off the rails.
No, absolutely. I put it back on track, Freddie. I said we'll get together and have a drink, and then we'll talk about all that after the show.
Tonya,
it blows my mind what you're talking. Sorry, Fred, about what you're talking about Switzerland and just to the extent that they're going to, they're bagging their pipe. I mean, if you're saying tools, you're talking pike pulls.
Yeah.
I mean, probably their irons, everything.
Yeah.
And so
everything.
You're telling me, I mean, they've got 3 sets of turnouts, which is, I mean, expensive, right? I mean, turnouts are only good for 10 years. And they're only getting more expensive.
Well, tools and air pack, from my experience, are 2 things that get highly
100%.
neglected in the cleaning process.
100%.
We just lay them on the ground and hit them with some soapy water. Like
yeah.
You get in the unit, you get in the rig, and it smells like a fire. Like, oh, you guys ran a job a couple days ago.
Yeah.
Like, you'll smell it for 2 weeks in the rig.
Yeah. And just think about it: if you're smelling it, it's still out there. It's still
it's still off gassing. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, they throw them in these bags that you're talking about that are the gases and everything. Like, do they usually send them out to a third party to have them cleaned, or are they bringing it back to clean them themselves?
They clean it themselves. So they have extractors at their stations. That's part of their whole protocol is they have a flow. When it comes back to the station, it immediately goes into extractors to be washed. And they are cleaning their SCBA. So this company was also, there's now several different manufacturers, but there's SCBA washers out on the market now. The original one was a re-engineered Gruntle disc dishwasher. Stefan Magnuson, who's one of the founders of Healthy Firefighters, was a welder because every firefighter has a second job. He cut apart a dishwasher, reconfigured it to wash SCBA, and then that's how they started washing their SCBA.
That's genius.
Yeah. So he had that for about 18 months and then got a call from Gruntle Disc. And he thought, oh, shit, I'm in trouble. And they're like, no, we want to
give you $1 bajillion.
Exactly. So Gruntle Disc was the parent company for IntelliRescue, which is the solo rescue machine that's out now. They have one, Myco has one, and then Circle Air has the new Red Line Decon. So you can wash boots, helmets, gloves, SCBA, face piece, everything in these machines. And that's what Sweden does. They may hand wash some of their tools like pike poles and stuff like that and irons, but they have washers for their hoses. They have washers for SCBAs. They wash everything. And they are changing their clothes, including their station wear.
That's wild.
On scene.
It's smart.
Yeah. So it's just an amazing protocol. I don't know that we'll ever get to that here in the United States. They came over and worked with South Florida. Florida's really been on the cutting edge of decontamination between Clean Cab and the collaborative. They did a lot. So Healthy Firefighters came over, worked with several departments in Florida, and that was part of what started the Clean Cab initiative. Although Healthy Firefighters doesn't understand why we do Clean Cab initiative because they bag everything and you can keep the bags in the cab with you. And if you get a call on the way back, everything is put in the bag in reverse order of what you would need it. So you just jump back into it. So they don't understand why we think we need to do Clean Cab, but is what it is. But their protocol is amazing. So I've had the opportunity of working with them since 2018. When I first heard their presentation, it didn't quite all translate well from Swedish to English. And so I've helped them do some translation. And they just had an article, I think in Fire Engineering, that talks about how you can implement this type of protocol in the United States. So it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So now, so you were asking about customers. I do customers all over the U.S. I have people that send me gear, but I've actually now started consulting with some fire departments on the NFPA 1851 standard, which is selection, care, and maintenance of turnout gear. Oklahoma City was seeing some premature degradation of their gear. So they had me come out and spend 2 days with them examining their 1851 program top to bottom and making recommendations for them. So I
from washing their gear?
washing, storing, inspecting, repairing everything that they're doing.
I think that's been an issue for a long time in the service. And I've only been in almost 11 years now, but when I first started, it was, you could only wash there was, I don't know if it was in the procedure, but you were only supposed to put your gear in the washer a certain amount of times per year because of the cost of replacement and the degradation aspect of it.
If you
lay it on the bay floor and scrub it with a brush and some soap, like what's on the bay floor, my guy?
Right. And I guarantee you those bristles on that scrub brush are harder on it than an extractor is.
Right. It just makes sense.
Yeah. Now
brings up too, Tonya, you also rep. The cool thing that I think about thin red line decon is if you look at like the evolution of a fire scene linearly on a linear plane.
Linearly?
Yes.
Linearly.
Immediately when you come out, you rep the storm stick, so you can do the gross decon. And then you've got responder wipes, so you can wipe yourself down. And then you've got the DOT bags, so you can take off your gear, put it in the DOT bags. And then you get back to the station and you've got the responder wash. And then what else that you also carry is citrus squeeze, right? So we're going to take and put our gear into the extractor and use the citrus squeeze. Like, I love the fact that if you go down the line, you're literally checking off every step of the process.
Yes, everything. And that's kind of our tagline. Everything you need to be clean on scene, back of the station, and in between. So it is.
See what you did there.
How about what? So that's amazing from A to Z, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is what you're saying, Fred?
Yes.
So
yes. And I also do sell the extractors, the STBA washers, everything. It is literally all about how do I get you guys clean.
Right.
And for me too, the biggest part of it, and this is part of why I did the consultation for Oklahoma City, I can tell you guys to do this all day long, but until you buy into it and actually start doing it, there's no point in me having all these great products and all these great ideas if nobody's using them.
I'll tell you, the pride and the machismo has started when guys are starting to see their buddies in their mid 40s and early 50s and maybe 2 years into retirement shriveling up like a grape in the sun of cancer. They're like, shit, man, I need to be better. I guess. Right. Well, I know
I feel you.
It is, Freddie. But what I'm saying is the change is starting. The change is happening. And me as a 45-year-old man, and both of my parents died of cancer. Cancer runs deep in my family, so it's a big deal to me. And I see the initiatives that my department is pushing, trying with what resources we have to do that. And it just makes me appreciative of that. And like I said, you see that turning of the tides of the big tough guys. Oh, my helmet's dirty. I don't give a shit, bro. You know what I mean? Like I don't want cancer. I don't care what my helmet looks like. This ain't a fashion show. I don't want cancer.
Yeah.
Do you know we actually, so one of our contracts is with Volusia County, and we go to the stations to wash their boots and helmets because they don't have spares, so they can't send them in. I actually had a lieutenant not allow my staff to wash his helmet.
Well, it's because soot is cool. We need the narrative needs to change. Clean.
That's what I was getting at. Like that is happening. That's coming.
It is. And let me ask you guys this. It's one thing for you guys to get cancer. If you knew that your children could be impacted by this, would it make you do anything different?
Exactly.
Because the studies are starting to show a link between childhood cancers and other disabilities.
Because 6 days later, when I'm in the shower and I still smell that house fire, my kids, that's off-gassing in my house, in my family.
Well, not only that, but you may be passing it
in
through
my
your
vehicle.
genetics through your sperm when...
I just had some genetic testing done too, so I'm waiting on the results of that.
They're also showing a link between the toxins that you guys are exposed to and neurological diseases such as ALS and Parkinson's disease.
Oh, wow.
Great.
Yeah. So
I think you nailed it though, Tonya. The one piece that's missing, you have A to Z. We go to a fire, we bag it up, right? We decon, all that kind of stuff. The education. The education is so important. And Freddie said, but then it's too late. Well, one thing and I'm not here to like sound cliche or whatever. It's not too late to start this conversation right now on this podcast. So
it's never the wrong time to do the right thing.
Nice.
This is the reason we started the podcast.
Cut that
is
shit.
To meet people like you, Tonya. We've had some awesome guests on this podcast, and that's all we want to do is start the conversation about tough things in the fire service. It doesn't always have to be tough. We talk tactics and command and all this kind of stuff, leadership and all that great stuff. But like, this is definitely one of those tough conversations to have in the fire service, only because like we just have like some mental block.
Well,
that's what I was getting at is, yeah, we're all tough and rah-rah and big Billy Badass when fire's blowing out the windows and out the gable vents. But again, when you're 57 years old and trying to retire and you're a year in your retirement and you're shriveled up in a hospital bed on hospice, you're not tough and rah-rah and it's Billy Badass anymore. I don't want to be that. Like, I want to live as long as I can. Everybody should anyway.
What is the greatest barrier to change? I've heard several different things. One thing that I heard lately, which really shocked me, is that people are tired of talking about cancer.
They're tired of talking about it.
You shouldn't be.
That's interesting.
Well,
I'd like to meet somebody who said that, because this is Doug speaking. That's ignorant.
Yeah. And that really surprised me. The other biggest thing that we see, and you kind of mentioned it, so one of the other things that I've done with teaching is, I don't know if any of you have ever read the book Atomic Habits. If you haven't, add it to your reading list.
It's on my list to read.
Matt's our reader. I don't read. I can barely read.
It is a great book. It's all about setting good habits and breaking bad habits. So after the third time I read it, I looked at how it could apply to the fire service with setting a habit of preliminary exposure reduction. So on-scene decon.
It's called Atomic Habits?
Atomic Habits, yes. And one of the things that I realized was so much of the influence is going to come from the company officer. And because that's who's in charge on scene, and rookies are going to look at him or her for a cue on what to do. And if the company officer has not bought into the whole decontamination protocol, cleaning your gear, all of that, it's not going to happen. And
I'll take it one step further, Tonya, because you're 100% correct. Lead by example. And when you're put into a position as a company officer, you are kind of it is presumptive that you're going to lead. You know what I mean? You're not put in that position unless you know that.
Right.
But I will say this also: if you're a firefighter or an engineer and you're listening to this conversation right now, and you don't have any type of protocol or standing operating procedures in your department regarding decontamination, start it.
Yes.
Go to your captain, go to your chief, however your culture works, and say, hey, I listened to this podcast. I listened to Tonya. She's in Florida. I'm going to look up her stuff and I want to buy it. And how do we budget for all this stuff? And then how do we come up with some sort of protocol that when we do have a fire, this is what we do. And it can be anything. I mean, tons of people have done lots of research. I mean, there's
so much research.
There's departments around me where I live in San Diego that go out of service after a fire. They go back, they take the hottest shower that they can. Then they get in the sauna that was provided to them by the city. And they sit in the sauna for 15 minutes and then they go take another shower and then they go back in service.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the lengths that people are actually taking.
I love the sauna idea and I wish more people would buy into it. I'm just a dumb fireman paramedic. But to me, opening your pores and letting that shit get out is the answer to quickly get rid of it. And I feel like obviously we're in a shower. We're not going to spend forever in the shower because 7, 8, 9 guys got a shower and we got so much hot water. But I wasn't talking about together, Unky. God,
Tonya, do you have any research?
Okay, so I
got to save the environment.
Yeah, that's where I was going. That's where I was going, Freddie. Do you have any knowledge or research on the heat and the dry sauna, even a wet sauna? I mean, I don't know what the difference between dry and wet would be in this aspect, but
yes. So let's start with understanding body mechanics. 97% of the toxins, 90-something% of the toxins that you absorb are removed through your kidneys, through your urine and your feces by filtering your pee. Yes. It's in the 90s. May not be 97%.
Still, that's
high.
90% even. Wow. Yeah.
Very high. So there is some concern among researchers. The only study that has ever purportedly shown that sweating from a sauna removes toxins was done on 9/11 responders, but the problem was there was no control. They put them on a certain sleep schedule. They changed their diet. They put them on supplements. They put them in the sauna, but there was no control on the study. So they can't determine how much of it was actually from using the sauna. The Swedes do use the sauna, but they don't use it as a decontamination protocol. They use it as an overall wellness program. What the researchers are concerned about with the sauna is that when you're coming out of an IDLH environment, your body is already, your core temperature is already heightened.
Yeah.
And your kidneys cannot function effectively when you have a high core temperature.
I got you.
So what they're thinking may be better, rather than coming right back and jumping right into a hot shower and then a sauna, is to take a cold shower first, let your core temperature go back to its baseline.
Normalize,
Then when you've cooled off and your core temperature is back down, then you can go and do a sauna or a hot shower. Because honestly, what you've absorbed at that point is probably already going through the layers of your skin and
where
into
it's not going to come back out and sweat. Yeah.
You may, and that's what they don't really know is even though you can smell it, with what you're getting out of your body that you smell, are the toxins still in that? Or the toxins already been absorbed into your bloodstream? So there was one limited research that was done. University of Arizona did some research with Tucson and Glendale Fire Department. And Glendale, I believe, had a sauna. So they did some limited research where they were checking the urinary biomarkers for PAHs, which are, the bad stuff in your blood. They were checking it before you came on shift, after a fire, and then at the end of shift. And what they found was there were some decreases in the PAHs with using the sauna. But it was such a small pool that they can't really rely too scientifically on that yet. So more research needs to be done, but just understand that if you're doing it, that you really need your core temperature to come down first before you're going back into a heightened temperature state. So
that, even like I said, even if it's 90%, that number is staggering to me.
Yeah. So let your body do what it does best.
So hydrate.
Absolutely.
Rehydrate and let the body work.
Yeah. So, but that same study also showed what they did is they were testing mitigation strategies. So out of all of the positions, who do you think had the highest PAH levels after a fire?
The engineer.
What do you mean positions? On the unit?
Yes.
Yeah, the person outside.
Yes. Typically not on air, may or may not be in PPE, generally also near the engine as
the exhaust. Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. As soon as they put the engineer on air and in PPE, they had the largest decrease in PAHs out of anybody.
That's wild.
Absolutely engineers should be on air. But they also did wipes and they also did shower within the hour. And every single one of the mitigation strategies lowered the PAHs. So the studies are out there. We know this works. It is really a matter of changing the culture. And as Ernestine says, two things firefighters hate, changing the way things are.
Absolutely.
How many times have we said that on this podcast?
A lot.
So it's a matter now. So I think over the next year, my focus is going to be trying to understand the culture of the fire service and how we can
turn
the cruise ship in a pool. So there's some organizations out there that are starting to look at it. And with the Atomic Habits class that I've taught, there's some strategies for setting positive behaviors and habits. And one of them is doing a visual cue. So I developed a sticker that all it says is, "Did you decon?" And that's what was in Burn Box. You stick that on the door of the engine and you see that as a visual cue before you get back in to head back to the station. Oh, wait,
I have that in my gear locker. And everybody makes fun of me for it. And I'm like, well, did you decon?
So there's a lot that you guys can do, so much. But it's just trying to figure out how to get you guys to do it.
Yeah, and it has to be that big. See, it's got to be the cultural change. It has to
Well,
be.
and it has to be really top down and bottom up.
Right. It's got to be organizational from the. Yep. You read my mind. I was like, it's got to start at the top, maybe push down, and then it's got to go right back up. Everybody has to buy in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you were mentioning gear and people being concerned that you could be overwashing your gear. I'm just going to tell you, you can't. If you have the machines that are programmed correctly and you're using an appropriate detergent, that should not decrease the longevity of your gear. The way the standard is written now, 1851, is you are required to do an advanced cleaning 2 times per year and anytime you have an exposure to products of combustion. So that's grass often. Fire, dumpster fire, car fire, kitchen fire, structural fire, everything. You should be washing your gear.
Yeah, that's often.
Yeah. So, but the big elephant in the room with that now too, have you guys talked about PFAS and turnout gear at all?
Oh, Unky.
I didn't know we were going to go there.
Let me send you to the subject matter expert in the top right of your screen here.
Okay, tell me your thoughts on this.
On the PFAS and
PFAS,
buddy.
PFAS?
Oh, what do you got about PFAS?
I had something I was going to love to share with her. I was going to wait till afterwards. She was on a roll, and she is knowledgeable.
Dude.
All right.
I still got questions.
Yeah. I'm with the federal service. I'm with the federal government. So we are a unique breed among the firefighters itself. So I was a union officer for over a decade and did the first cancer summit that the IFF did and all that stuff. But we do have unfortunately the federal government is involved in some of the PFAS and PFAS problems. We actually had to get legislation through the IFF to make the federal government test our blood every year and get us our numbers. And the studies that they did, like the control, was 100 people. So they're like, oh, this is what your numbers should be. Like 0.5. Mine was 13. Like this is normal is 0.5 whatever measurements. Mine was 13. We got people in the 20s and 30s, all these numbers for PFAS and PFOS. I was until numbers start coming in, I was the third highest in the nation. And as our just numbers in my department start coming in. But anyways, my little one's at the door. What do you think about bathing in water that's been contaminated with PFAS and PFAS AFFF foam?
What do you mean breathing it in?
No, bathing. Sorry.
Oh, so bathing. Okay.
Yeah, the fire station that I'm currently now assigned to, I'll do 72 hours at this place, and we operate on well water, and the well water is highly contaminated with AFFF, and we're there for 72 hours. It's okay to wash our hands, shower in, but not to drink or brush our teeth. So I was like, the skin's is absorbent. Absorbs everything.
Your skin is the largest organ of your body, by
the way. It is.
Nerd alert.
Is. But, and I'm not going to say that you should or should not bathe or drink it. You have to understand that toxins, depending on their molecular weight, may or may not penetrate the substrate of the skin. And I'm not going to say I know the molecular weights because PFAS represents 1,500 compounds out there. So it's really difficult to say which ones are what molecular weight. But just I know because this all went with wipes testing that we had done, different toxins have different molecular weights. The heavier they are, the less likely they are to be absorbed through the skin into the bloodstream. So that would be the only reason why I would potentially think that they would tell you it was okay to bathe in it, but not drink it. I'm not saying that is correct or not correct. I don't know enough about it.
But it's a rational explanation.
Right. That was just my one thought that I had when you said that they said it was okay to drink and not bathe in it. I mean, okay, not to drink it, but you could bathe in it.
Yes, they provide us, we'll say bottled water, the big 5-gallon, Culligan Man water. They provide us that.
Okay.
But
I still don't know that I would feel comfortable doing it. But,
yeah.
God, no.
In the kitchen area, you're still using well water to wash your pots and pans and clean your utensils.
You are in a unique situation with having groundwater exposed to AFFF. The majority of the conversation in the fire service right now is around PFAS and turnout gear.
Yeah.
And go ahead. What were you going to say?
No. Unky literally, that's why I threw it to him, because one, his previous exposures to it, and two, he just sent us a link a couple of days ago, I think it was. You were asking about something, I thought.
Yes. Jeez, I gotta look at it.
But it's on that line, Tonya. It's something about how it's in the turnout gear and Kevlar based stuff, and
so.
And when they test our blood in the federal government, they gave our doctors and a full page script to give us like PFAS and PFAS, all those letters. They're in your food, on your plates. You ever had your stuff Scotch guard?
Yeah.
So waterproof your shoes. That's got it. Coca-Cola's being sued because it's in their Minute Maid orange juice from the machines that they use. Oh. It was just basically being worn down, and those chemicals were leaking through. It is everywhere.
Yes.
And on top of that, we're exposed to that because it's everywhere. We're also exposed to that because, foam and stuff like that on top of the general public.
Absolutely. So estimates are that about 97% of the general population have detectable levels of PFAS in their system.
Jeez. Wow.
And it does
It's in your couch that you sit on and watch TV.
Yes. So it is literally everywhere. So, I hear people say all the time, we've got to get the PFAS out of our gear. We got to go to PFAS. And let me rephrase that. You can't get PFAS out of your gear. You can use what's called non-PFAS material. So you can have non-PFAS material on your outer shell. The PFAS that's in your outer shell is a coating that provides a durable water repellency, a DWR finish on your turnout gear. It's basically coating the fibers of the outer shell with Teflon. That prevents contaminants from penetrating the fibers. It also prevents water or hazardous fluids from penetrating the fibers. And it keeps your gear from absorbing things like diesel fuel or hydraulic fluid. And then if you're exposed to a flame, it's not going to catch fire because it hasn't absorbed those liquids. What they've said is they've taken that Teflon out of the DWR finishes, and they're now using silicone or wax finishes for that DWR finish. Well, neither of those hold up very well. So the minute you go into an IDLH environment, because it is, like you said, in everything, it is in your carpet, it is in your clothing, it is, if you wear a North Face jacket, if you've ever slept in a sleeping bag, if you drink coffee from Starbucks, if you floss your teeth, and I damn well hope all of you are flossing your teeth, it is in your dental floss. It is everything that is nonstick. So the second you walk into an IDLH environment in your non-PFAS outer shell material, it is no longer non-PFAS material.
Yeah.
So for me, and I absolutely agree with Unky that you've got to get it out, especially when it's in the drinking water, when you have it, AFFF has pretty much been banned everywhere now, and now they're trying to clean it up and get rid of it. But you have to understand it is also everywhere you are in your everyday life. So there are trade-offs for getting rid of the Teflon or the PFAS in the durable water repellency finishes. What some testing has shown from North Carolina State University is that with those alternate finishes, hydraulic fluid and diesel fuel were both actually absorbing into the fibers of the outer shell material. And when it catches fire, it's staying lit for Like, I want to say the test was for like 30 seconds. You guys aren't prepared for that. Have you ever been in turnout gear that lights up for 30 seconds?
No.
Doesn't it usually self-extinguish? If it catches on fire at all?
Yeah. If it does, I need to go.
Fire-resistant item that caught fire.
Yeah. So
sorry.
There are definitely some trade-offs that people may not understand. And that's not to say that we should not get PFAS out of the gear. That's not what I'm saying at all. I just want people to understand that if you do have non-PFAS finished material, you have to be prepared for the gear to operate differently than what you're used to. And you damn well better clean it, because the second you go into a fire, it's not PFAS free anymore.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
I had a conversation with Ed Kelly for the president of the IFF.
Yeah.
Big Ed.
Yeah, as my wife calls him, eyebrows. Love that. He's a nice guy. Because he has a background with the Air Force DoD fire, so that's how me and him relate, being the DoD, and the Air Force sets the standards for all of the firefighting in the DoD. They got AFFF foam, and then there was this second foam, I forgot what it was called, that we went to. On Monday, the Air Force said, we're going to go to this because it's better for the environment, and that's DoD really cares about the environment. They don't want no trouble. They've done a lot of damage in their lifetime. So they say, we're going to go to this one. It's a lot better. It's safer. Well, Monday, DoD went to it. Friday, Australia banned it off their island. It was safer for the environment, but more deadly to the firefighters. And we just pumped it out a couple months ago of all of our structure pieces, but our vehicles still have it.
Wow.
Because our vehicles, we need it.
Yeah.
Structure pieces.
There's very few things that work as well. Yeah.
So there's a third type now coming out. So I don't know when that's going to come in, but I was talking to Ed about it. I was like, look, we got to be careful just getting rid of something and putting something else in its place.
Right.
We got to make sure that the replacement is safer.
Yes.
And I understand a lot of times you don't know what it can do to you till decades later.
Yeah, the long-term effects of it. Exactly.
So I was like, on one hand, I'd rather stay in what we have if the new stuff is worse.
Yeah.
So
and that's what the concern is. The other thing that I'm seeing anecdotally through the gear cleaning business is the material with the new wax or silicone DWR finishes, it's not lasting as long. And they think it's for a couple of reasons. First of all, with the silicone and the wax finishes wearing off faster than the Teflon, the contaminants are embedding in the fibers. And so I can't get the gear clean like we used to be able to. The other thing is with the Teflon coating on the fibers, when the fibers rub against each other, they're not abrading. But when that silicone or wax finishes are coming off, those fibers are abrading against each other and the gear is wearing out. So I'm just going to tell you, you're allowed to wear your gear for 10 years. I promise you it's not going to last 10 years. You'll be lucky if you get 5 or 6 years out of it.
I honestly we have our own in-house repair shop, and I think I send my stuff out every 6 months for fix this, fix that, because
good.
This is what it is.
Good.
And it's so hard to I being a big cook and everything, fine cookware.
Emphasis on big.
Yeah. Cookware that is safe, because a lot of people are like, well, use a aluminum pan. Aluminum has its own problems.
Yes. Ceramic. I hear ceramic's like the only safe one now.
Yeah, and then I haven't heard nobody come after cast iron yet, and oh my gosh, that'd be a war if somebody did. But
grandma lived to 90-some years old. I'm gonna keep using cast iron.
I acquired for Christmas this year a set of Guy Ferrari's Flavor Towns. They're laser titanium. Guy Ferrari's. Fieri, whatever.
Close enough.
He pronounces it different than he used to. Anyways, but they promote that they don't have PFAS, PTFE, and PFO. So on their What's so funny?
Well, and you know,
it showed the can, the LaCroix can.
Well, but because I was
Audemars Piguet.
I swapped my screen over to the website so I can make sure I quoted it right. So, the TFE.
Right.
Are we?
The guys at my station will get this. The Audemars Paddock. It's not.
Can I ask you this? Do you think that so anytime like after, let's say 10 o'clock at night, I put my PT shorts on, and if we get a call, I'm putting my turnout pants on. Am I putting myself at more risk by wearing my turnout pants at night? Because of PFAS that is potentially in the first layer of my turnout pants.
Oh gosh, that's really hard to say. What they have had some difficulty showing is, while we know that there's PFAS on the outer shell material, and you have to picture what PFAS is fluorinated chains that stick up like a bristle on a brush. And that's why fluids can't get into it, is because they're sticking up and holding it. Those fluorinated chains break off. And that's what's releasing the PFAS. What they don't know yet, and the studies are still trying to figure out, is how you're getting the PFAS into your body. Whether you are absorbing it through your skin, whether you're inhaling it, whether you're possibly ingesting it because it's on your hands or on your water bottle when you go to drink. They just really don't know yet how exactly what the route of transmission is or what the route of exposure is.
Is it in bourbon or rocks glass?
I really hope not.
But alcohol has its
but
own
if it is, I'm screwed.
Contributes to cancer. But
plus, I drink Starbucks all the time.
A lot of departments have gone to part of their policy to help is to minimize your time in your gear. Mm-hmm. So, like some departments will tell you flat out, you don't need to be putting your bunker pants on going to an EMS call, to a regular house and stuff. Only for calls that require it. You should not be in it. If you're walking around the station, like that snazzy photo of you with your gear that I love so much, Matt, that's a no-no.
They're tested with the
they want you not to be in that turnout gear unless you have to. They're trying to limit your exposure. Even though they got to. Why?
Because you've got toxins in your gear. I'm going to say
clean.
It other than just
I sent it to Tonya. I sent it to your business, and you cleaned them for me. So now they're more clean than when they came back from the manufacturer.
So this is going to lead down a whole nother road.
I love it.
When we go through verification, we're required as part of 1851 to prove that we can remove 50% of a sampling of toxins. It is some semi-volatile organic compounds, and it's some heavy metals. There's a lot of discussion right now on the technical committee for 1851 whether that is a true representation of what the exposures are, for multiple reasons. When they send me samples to be washed, to be tested, they've contaminated them with a liquid. That's not how typical contaminants are getting on turnout gear. They're either aerosolized or they're particulates. So the ones that they've chosen are not necessarily the ones that are in typical structural fires. So there's a whole lot of controversy right now around the testing procedures. I can clean your gear, and I can say, based on the verification that we had done, I'm removing approximately X percentage of toxins. We know we're not removing 100% of them. If you go back to the European model of doing things, because again, Europe is so far ahead of us, they are heavily into liquid CO2 now as an alternate cleaning method as opposed to a wet wash. It is using basically detergent that has been vaporized that can pass through the fibers to grab any of the toxins and pull it out. So I suspect within the next few years, there's a couple of LCO2 machines already here in the US. I've seen what they can do with removing things like paint from gear, which a typical wet wash doesn't do a very good job of removing. I'm waiting for some more testing to come in from the particular company in Europe, but I suspect you will see LCO2 machines really begin to be utilized here in the US to try and get out close to 100% of the toxins. Because the way they operate over there, they're certified, and every I don't know what it is, 1,000, 2,000 sets. They actually will take a true use set and deconstruct it and test it to see how much is actually being done.
Yeah,
they don't do that here in the U.S. That's not.
Yeah, how else are you confirming your results?
Exactly. But all of the testing requires a destruction of the gear, and nobody wants to destroy gear. But over there, they're willing to do that, and you have to show that you can meet those standards.
Damn Swedes.
Yeah.
What's their sample size as to how long they've been doing this and the type of benefits that they found from it? I mean, have they seen a drastic drop with first responder cancer rates?
They have. So Sweden, through the Healthy Firefighters Protocol, they've been tracking their cancer rates and they are dropping. But you're correct. With the latency period of cancer, I think they've had their protocol for close to 15 years now. And I think they've only seen a drop in the last 5 years. I think it took quite a while. And that is part of one of the biggest challenges with implementing any type of change is the latency period. There's a normalization of deviance because there's no direct correlation between your action and the negative consequence of getting cancer. You can't typically look at, I was on this fire on January 27th, 2025, and now 10 years later, that's why I have cancer.
Right.
That's why it's presumptive.
Right. And exactly. Dude, we had a guy. I'm going to go off the rails just for a second. One of our guys, he's a fire marshal. He was in the ops at the time, but got testicular cancer. And they fucking workers' comp and risk management and all that shit tried to say, because he's an Eagle Scout, that when he was coming up through scouts, he sat too close to a fucking fire, a campfire. And that's what caused his goddamn testicular cancer. Man's been a fireman for over 20 years. But that ties into what you said. Like,
hey, you gotta try.
It's an insurance company.
Yeah, they do whatever they can to
insurance
not
company.
Insurance company.
That's all work comp is.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, and it depends on what your state you're in too, because every state has different presumptive coverage. Every state has some type of presumptive coverage now. Some states are a lot better than others. Some really suck. So,
and it's an ongoing fight. Our union is dealing with that right now. Like they were just speaking or meeting with people about that. Our e-board was just meeting with people about that recently. It's never ending.
Well, you know that they've classified the occupation of firefighting as a known carcinogen.
Yeah. You
So,
know what I mean? Like that's
looking at your face. So the International Agency for Research on Cancer, IARC, which is the worldwide governing body for cancer-related items, in June of 2023, reclassified cancer. So there's 3 different types of classifications. There's group 1, which is known, 2A, which is probable, and 2B is possible, or 3, which is not associated. The occupation of firefighting was a 2B. They thought it was possible. 2023, it was reclassified as a known carcinogen. The occupation, and it comes from a lot of things. It comes from sleep deprivation, shift schedule, diet, toxins that you're exposed to. It's all a synergistic effect. You know, it's a cocktail that you're mixing and drinking.
I just want to throw this in there since you said shift schedule. 24/48 sucks.
Yes.
Okay. So, hey, look, I got a question. Tell us real quick about some speaking engagements you've done and possibly have coming up, because we've been going for an hour and 5 minutes total recording time, but like this, you're so knowledgeable. Like you just keep it. Every time I turn the corner, there's more shit coming out that's knowledgeable and applicable. Like it's like you're like an encyclopedia. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, right. Tonya Pete, right. Oh my God. Yes.
Wait, hold on.
And she drinks bourbon, and she's a blonde, so Doug's just right there.
Smitten. So you idiot.
Sorry.
So it stands to reason that people will want you to come speak and that you have speaking engagements lined up. So please elaborate on that. And
okay. Yes, I have spoken at various conferences. I was just at the FDSOA conference 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago. I will be speaking in March. Fiero PPE Symposium is in Greenville, South Carolina. And I have two two items that I'll be speaking on. One is preliminary exposure reduction, which is atomic habits, making a habit of it. And the other is going to be looking at storage methods for gear. So that's the only speaking engagement I have coming up. But I have a couple of articles that are out that if you want to know more about atomic habits and how to make a habit of preliminary exposure reduction, I did an article for the International Fire and Safety Journal. I think it was April of 2023, and it's called Preliminary Exposure Reduction. And it basically outlines exactly what I was talking about, following the steps in atomic habits. So you can go there. I've written a couple of articles. There was one in the Firehouse supplement on storing your gear. I'm in the Fire Engineering January PPE supplement. I wrote an article on different ways departments can comply with NFPA 1851 to get gear clean. So
make sure we get all these different links and whatnot, and there you go, Freddie. Thank you.
Freddie's got
Make sure we get all that, and we'll put it in the notes so all this stuff can just be hyperlinked and because this is.
So Doug will make sure it's hyperlinked.
So when do you go? And Matt's going to take care of all that.
He's the idea.
He's the idea. And a good mustache. I'm here for laughs and a good mustache. That's all I'm here for.
Miss Tonya,
when are you going to Greenville in March?
I think it's March 9th, 10th, something like that.
Okay, cool. I'll be in Disney after that, so make sure you can be back home before we can link up.
I tell you what, like I said, Tonya, you and I hooked up in 2022, and we did some stuff together. We did a get.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about.
We didn't even talk about Carney Strong Initiative. We're not done. We're not done.
Or the new one.
Well, you know what that means?
Yeah,
we're going to have you back.
I tell you what, like I said, I've known you now for coming up on almost 3 years, and off and on we've talked, and I talk a lot about Thin Red Line when I run into different people, and I teach at the academy, and we run into chiefs and stuff like that, and I send a lot of people like responder all that, send them your way. But I think one of the best things about all of this isn't the stuff. Everybody likes stuff. Firefighters like stuff, but the knowledge, the non-tangible, non-concrete things that you hold, I think is so much more important. And that's why having you on the podcast was significantly better than just, here's some responder wipes. You should wipe your face and your nuts with them. Like,
whoa, like, Freddie.
I think
wipe your taint and your balls.
Being able to have you download all of this information that you have clearly made a passion project for yourself is incredible. And like Doug just said, we have to have you back. I don't know if there's a way we could partner with you. Like this is such a serious topic, and it's why we do this podcast, and having you on here was just a perfect way to kind of put it out there, I think.
Partnership is the right word, Freddie. We need to be promoting this all the time.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, too, here's something real quick that's kind of interesting. So there was a former...
Everything you said has been interesting.
So the wipe market is small. There's probably 6 or 7 companies out there. And when I first got into the market, there was a company called Action Wipes. And for the most part, I have a friendly, competitive relationship with the other companies. And this one was definitely one of the nicer companies that I had the opportunity to work with. They didn't make the extra large wipes. Anytime a customer of theirs wanted those, he would send them to me. He wouldn't try and talk them into a smaller wipe. He'd just send them to me. Anyway, they got driven out of the market. I won't go into the story of why, but they were driven out of the market. Really good people. He reached out to me last Tuesday and said, hey, they're based in California. He said, hey, are you still doing wipes? And I said, yes. And he said, I really want to get some wipes to all of our departments in California that are fighting the wildfires. He said, obviously, we can't get them wipes anymore. Is there something that we can do with you? I want to send out a mass email to all of our former customers, and can we partner with you to do something? So we did. We partnered together. But the point of me saying that is, for me, this is not about selling wipes or body wash. This is about providing a service and providing knowledge and providing a solution. And I just thought it spoke volumes that he was willing to go to a former competitor and say, hey, what can we do?
Well,
can we do something?
He didn't view you as a competitor from the start because he would funnel business to you.
Yeah.
And that says that he's not a competitive businessman.
Yeah.
You know?
So we were able to, basically he sent out an email to all his former customers, and I said that I would match whatever they bought. And we had it shipped to a sister ISP in California, and their California PPEs distributing the stuff.
That's amazing.
For us. So
saving lives.
Yeah. So Carney Strong
cool.
Initiative was an organization, a nonprofit that I helped start that retired because we finished our mission. But now we have a new one that we're working with, the Phoenix Project. So when we have a chance, I'd love to tell you guys more about that and connect you with Christy Burgess. Her husband, Nathan, was a Raleigh captain who passed away from cancer. So she's got a wonderful organization that she's working on now.
Well, hey, Mark, this one is part one, Matt.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'm serious. Mark is part one, and we'll cover.
If you're okay with that, Tonya, we'd love to have you back on and talk probably for a whole nother hour and a half.
So we do some fun stuff at the end. We do something we call a hot wash or a turnout drill. It's going to be a fully deconned turnout drill with clean gear when we do this. But what we'll have you do is we're going to ask you a few questions, just rapid fire. We'll just have you pick a number 1 through 25.
19.
You're given $10,000 to spend at any store. Where are you shopping? Oh, that was quick. I like it.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love to hike.
The only problem is with REI, you're going to get like a pair of socks and.
You're going to get 7 items and then you're out.
Exactly. A good pair of hiking boots, a nice backpack.
All right, give me another number.
I'm good to go.
Yeah.
11.
11. What's your favorite holiday?
Christmas. I love having all my family together.
That's
awesome.
It's all about, now that I'm a grandmother, just having the grandkids over and having all my kids home.
Christmas vacation.
All right, go again.
Exactly. Big Chevy Chase fan over here.
5.
5.
One person. This is one of our favorites. One person, dead or alive, that you'd love to have lunch with.
Ooh. Mother Teresa.
We've not had that one. Expand.
No, please expound.
It didn't matter the type of person that she interacted with. All were welcome in her circle. And she had such a compassionate love and was able to see beyond anyone's shortcomings and love them in spite of themselves. And I wish more of us had that attribute right now.
Almost like it's a great life lesson.
Exactly.
All right. 2 more.
Absolutely.
Give me one more number.
7.
Yes. Are there beans in chili?
Oh.
Oh, no.
No.
Oh.
No.
Yes.
You can make chili without beans. It's chili with beans.
You're darn right. You're
well, not if you don't put beans in it.
Were you born in Florida?
I am born and raised in Florida.
Wow.
Because beans are a southern thing.
I was just thinking Texas, Texas is huge about the no beans in their chili.
Only if I'm going to make chili, it's got beans in it. I just know that a purist would tell you.
Okay, so it's beans for you then.
Yes. I thought you
were the answer is yes,
in general. A purist.
No, for you.
No, absolutely beans.
Yeah. Whew, okay. All right, we're
last
cool again.
One. Choose wisely. 13. What was your favorite subject in school? Chemistry.
Chemistry.
I was going to say chemistry. Shout out, Miss Hesh.
You stole the words from my mouth.
Shout out, Miss Hesh.
Weird.
When I was in high school, they had just started doing advanced placement classes, AP classes, and I loved my chemistry teacher so much.
There you
took
go.
AP chemistry.
And look at where it's gotten you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, this is true. So funny thing is, I actually thought I was going to be a forensic scientist. When I went to college, that was originally my major, because the whole chemistry thing and doing drug identification and bullet ballistics and blood splatters. And then I found out I had to do an autopsy, and that was a hard no. So.
I'm cool with CSI until the dead people come around.
Exactly. And I'm like, nope, I think I'll change to business. So I have a business major. So.
That is awesome.
Well, it's working well for you.
It is so far. It is so far.
That's awesome.
But I did not start my companies until I was 50 years old. And so I try and instill in my daughters that it doesn't matter what age you are. Everybody has their own life journey and timetable, and it's never too late.
And now you're saving lives.
Yep.
This was incredible, Tonya.
So
this is incredible.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Hey, plug all your
where
stuff.
Can we find you?
Tell people where they can find you and all that. And
thinredlinedecon.com is all of our decontamination equipment and supplies, and Florida PPE Services is my gear cleaning business. So
awesome.
Check it out.
On,
and
social medias.
Yep, we are on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I haven't kept up with Twitter. It's a little too crazy for me.
It's chaotic.
It's the Wild West.
X, I guess I have to say now.
Yeah,
it is Wild West. So I'm just like, we're good. So I've never gotten on TikTok, and my oldest daughter is now my administrative manager doing my marketing.
So welcome to TikTok.
Well, but it's like, is it closing down?
It's here
is
to
it
stay.
not closing?
No.
It's not going anywhere.
No, it's way too big and making too much money for people.
Well, and then you got Threads, and then you got Substack, and I can't keep up with all of them. I'm too old for that shit.
Matt, you got any closing remarks before we?
Awesome.
Tonya, I texted you a phrase that you can say once Matt is done. If he has anything to say.
Okay.
I don't know. Matt usually.
Hey, all I'll say is continue to follow and support the podcast. We're doing our best to have episodes just like this one with Tonya. I mean, this was awesome. It's great information. It's a tough conversation to have in the fire service because, none of us want to talk about big machismo.
This one to me was below Kenny Mitchell. This one is right below the mental health stuff. This one is right there.
Mental health.
This one was fantastic.
Thank you.
It's very good information. So we're going to push this out and continue to follow us, subscribe. We're on every single podcast platform that you can listen to, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Obviously, it's going to be on video on Spotify and YouTube. But other than that, you can listen to us on Apple Podcasts or anywhere where you listen to your podcast. So from all of us here at the Cool Fireman Podcast, thank you. So what do you got for us, Tonya? You got our closing remark?
Just did you decon? Make sure you're doing your decon. And am I supposed to end it with this phrase?
Yes, ma'am.
Roll it, Gigi.
Oh, Gigi.
Freddie didn't spell it right. You idiot.
I spelled my daughter's name right.
Roll it, Gigi.
Roll it, Gigi.
Before you leave, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give these firemen a huge thumbs up. Also, make sure you check out the coolfireman.com for more. Thanks!